I see the traditional male role as being the provider and the strong, silent type, and the female as being the stay-at-home sort of mother. But I'm not saying I agree with those traditional roles.
A traditional male role I see as the protector, provider, someone who brings security, someone who's meant to be aggressive, whether it be in sports or at work. A traditional female role I see as caring, nurturing, stay-at-home, someone who looks after the kids.
I think these stereotypes impact me as a trans man in that there's sort of this expectation to be masculine, to make more money than a partner would, to provide, and to be more hyper-masculine than I would probably prefer to be myself. So I didn't come out as trans until I was 19 years old. So for 19 years of my life, I was identifying as and perceived as a woman. And the difference I really notice now, presenting masculinely, is that I get a respect from strangers more. Doctors take me seriously. People listen to me actively a lot more. I'm not interrupted. And I see a major problem with that.
I think of hurtful traits by males that affect, not only women but other males as well. Destructive tendencies.
Toxic masculinity, to me, what I think of when I hear that, is someone who's afraid to show emotion, someone who's insecure, someone who's very aggressive and dominant.
Well, that's an interesting question, because I was talking to Chris about this earlier, and I was telling him that I don't really have any good examples in my life of toxic masculinity. And he pointed out the fact that I'm a male, I'm a big, tattooed, strong male, and other males give me a wide berth, or they accept me. And when I see something, some behavior, like for example, there's a person who acts in a very worrisome way, and I just view his acts as him being an asshole. But Chris pointed out his acts are actually toxic masculinity. But because I'm a male and I view the world through the prism of a male who's accepted by other males, I just see things as asshole behavior. But in a lot of cases, it's toxic masculinity.
Toxic masculinity affects me as a trans man in that if I don't perform to these levels of hypermasculineness, I'm not respected. And I think the way that it affects trans men in general is that if you aren't masculine enough, if you're not, your voice doesn't drop deep enough, if you're not hairy, if you're not tall, that kind of thing, is sort of the concept of passing as a cis man, which shouldn't be the goal. The goal should be for you to be comfortable in your body.
So giving myself hormone injections is an act I take every week to present myself as more masculine.
Being perceived by others affects how you feel about yourself, and a lot of trans men, myself included, end up performing to a hypermasculine degree in order to be accepted.
My ideal vision of masculinity would be not feeling trapped by having to act out certain ways that are just masculine. I just want, not being trapped by just this one way of acting.
My ideal vision of masculinity, I don't know, to be strong, but also be caring and compassionate and empathetic, and to view women as equals.
I think my ideal vision of masculinity is letting people express themselves in a way that they're comfortable with, no matter how they identify. I think that we need to break down stereotypes of men and boys not being allowed to express their emotions, because it ends up raising young boys into adults who don't know how to deal with strong emotions. I think that there's a lot of stuff that needs to be worked on in that regard.
Something I'd like to add would be is the fact that I used to practice some of these toxic behaviors, and it's a day-to-day kind of battle with myself to not go into old patterns of toxic masculinity and to break away from that. And I think that toxic masculinity still lingers in me, and I have to daily correct it by doing good actions and speaking good words, and just being a better overall human being, and constantly exposing myself to media that isn't completely negative or put you in a negative headspace or trap you in some sort of stereotypical way of acting. I no longer search for my identity in those things anymore. I try to look within myself for an identity.